Question number 7, Ruth Maguire.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. To ask the Scottish Government how much funding it's made available to business throughout the Covid-19 pandemic.
Cabinet Secretary.
Well, since the very early stages of the pandemic, our support for business and the economy now totals almost £3 billion, which is more than a third of total Covid funding, demonstrating our firm commitment to provide as much as possible to directly support affected businesses.
Ruth Maguire.
Thank the Cabinet Secretary for that answer. It's important that steps are taken to ensure that demand for business support doesn't outstrip the resources available. However, a lack of fiscal flexibilities limits the action which the Scottish Government can take in this regard. Does the Cabinet Secretary agree that the UK Government should urgently release reserves to enable the Scottish Government to provide additional support to business?
Cabinet Secretary.
Well, I thank the member for that question, and I'm assuming she's talking about the fact that the UK Government has announced a £55 billion Covid fund for the coming year, but has only allocated a small amount of that funding. And we have been clear from the outset that this year's Covid funding from the UK Government is welcome, but it doesn't cover all the need. In these questions alone, I have heard calls for additional support for businesses and for different sectors, and it's clear that businesses are facing challenging times. We will use every penny that we can to get it out the door. We also need to make sure that we cover all the costs and the needs between now and the end of the financial year. I'm concerned that at this stage in the financial year, almost halfway through January, we are still awaiting our final funding settlement for 2020-21, and furthermore, that the UK Government may well release additional consequentials that they've announced but haven't allocated. And that's why I wrote to the Chancellor this week requesting that that reserve be allocated so that we know what we are planning with, because that would allow us then to fully plan and respond to the crisis now, rather than waiting for the delayed UK budget in March.